All right, welcome in, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. So it looks like we have 3 of you out there. Thanks for joining. Frank Powers, Carl Whitaker, Jay Moreland. Thank you guys. So a couple things I wanted to get started with is kind of show everybody how to configure a macro statement. Now these are brief caveat on macro statements. They're somewhat limited, but they can be used in HPI, physical exam, ROS, and your treatment screen. So under EMR here, you have these miscellaneous configuration options. From here, you can go to what configure macros. So within the configure macros area here, you can name the macro you want. You know, you can name it right here. We'll just call it a test. The macro shortcut will be TEST. How about maybe just yeah, TEST. All lowercase, and you could create, you know, whatever the macro is that you want to put, you know, something similar to that. I don't know, whatever the statement is, something that you would use in different areas. So from there, you can also share macros with others. So I can make this macro available to other people. And it can be used for labs, imaging, and procedures as well. So once I name that, then so I've just created a statement here called test. I hit save. And now you can see I have this. So I've created one called HPI in the past. That just says I agree with the above and entered information with the following additions, corrections, clarifications. I created something like that. I occasionally use on an HPI, but here's this new test one as well. So once those are in place, now that I've got that built, I can use that within the HPI. So I open up my HPI, and I hit HPI, and then I hit the control and the spacebar button together, and it throws down that statement. So did you see that? So I'm going to go ahead and clear that again. So I'm going to hit the one we just built. It's called test. So if I hit TEST and hit control spacebar together, then it puts in that statement. So it's kind of like a dot phrase in Epic, but a little bit you know, slightly different. And again, those macro statements can be used kind of throughout different parts of the record, not all parts of the record. I've requested eCW to make those available ubiquitously no matter where you're at in the record, but that's not possible apparently. So from there, so like I can go to, I don't use them a lot in physical exam, but I'm fairly sure you can put them in the physical exam notes section if you're so inclined. So if I do test, you know, so if I created a physical exam, you could drop it in right there just on the note section. Again, you wouldn't have the specific categories built in the structured data, and again, your E&M coder becomes not functional at that point. But also these statements can be used in the treatment screen. So you can create, you know, so if I type test and then I hit control spacebar, actually I guess they can't be used in the treatment screen. I thought that they could. Try one more time. Yeah, so they're only available through not in ROS either. So HPI, physical exam, even in somewhere like this, they're not available either within the specific notes. We have a question. So they wouldn't really be that helpful. I would tend to agree. I don't use them very much, so I just wanted to show people that you can build those if you want. Obviously, the place where macro statements are available are in these browse statements. So you can create them by different categories. And I believe you can use them on labs as well, but again, we've created all kinds of browse statements under the lab section. So they would be helpful. We have another comment here. They'd be helpful if they were able to be used in the treatment section. I think that's what it said. It went away. Yeah, let's see. They'd be helpful if they were available in the treatment and assessment area. So, yeah, I would agree. They're not, but you do have access to those areas within the browse statements. So you can create browse statements around assessments. So you have a browse right here on your assessment screen. So, you know, at one point I think I had made, yeah, there's, again, on treatment screen as well, you can create macros on the browse. Everybody knows those. Yeah, you can create them there. Everybody hopefully knows those, that those are available. The other place that there's available everybody probably knows about is in lab section. So within a particular lab, you have browse statements right here that you can use. We've created some kind of normal labs or some, you know, an HDL low or different things that we've labeled as star CHC that come in English and Spanish. So those are just different places where you find if you're typing the same thing a lot, you can hopefully get a little more efficacious with your time by using browse statements. So the macros, again, aren't that terribly useful. I mostly use that HPI qualifier sometimes. We have a question, can you show us how to make treatments, the browse, treatment browse statements? Sure. So within the treatment section, you click browse. I have my settings set to go to default to clinical notes, which is not visible on the patient portal. A lot of you probably defaults to just notes, which is visible on the portal. Whatever you prefer, there's a file settings, my settings I can show you if anybody wants. But to answer the question, so you click browse, then you click new, then you can title it whatever you want. And then create it right here. So then I would come up here and you, whatever you titled it, as you search for it, it pops up and then you load it. And then it goes into your treatment section. Clear that here. And you can also modify them. So once I hit the browse section here, I can then highlight it and then click update. And now I can change it real time. So if I think something further on that particular statement, you can update it. And then it'll stay that way. So yeah, there you go. So that's how you can create a treatment browse section. Again, if you want yours to default to clinical notes, it's a setting. Does anybody want me to show you? One comment from Carl Whitaker that that they're available. Are those available to everybody else? Yes, they are. So within the treatment section, I have a question from Frank. You can go ahead and click browse, and you can search people's statements. So if you type CDub, you can come up with just wonderfully written treatment plans. So you have, you know, Carl's created a statement here on well woman exam, a myriad of things, work treatment. I have quite a few. Some of mine are suboptimal, but I just never changed them, but they could use some updating. But I have ADHD concern, you know.
If you type in opioid, I have a couple of opioid statements that are, when I'm doing prescriptions, talks about doing the opioid. The first one is just about signing the contract and going through the contract line, and the other one is for refilling opioids. So
nice. So Jay Moreland's created one here. If you just type opioid, it has a nice little statement here about kind of approach to using opioids, random drug screens, things like that. That's really nice. So feel free to use that one, everybody. Carl, do you have any particular ones that you're really proud of that you would want people to see? You know who has a bunch of really nice ones are, Carl says he stole them from Chris, PR pelvic pain. That was created by Par Royer. So that's kind of a nice one. Kind of goes through some differential stuff and Yeah, I like that. And I've started to create some that kind of are a launch point for a phrase that will be a little bit more authentic to that visit, kind of like parted here after full discussion, the following plan was made, colon, and then you could kind of launch into your specific authentic plan for that patient. I've done a little bit more like that. I know Kyle Daly, you have KD, has a bunch of really nice ones. You know, I steal Kyle's about birth control all the time. So you have combo, it kind of goes through just some precautionary stuff and some counseling stuff that is really nice for different types of birth control. So if you type KD space birth control, I believe Kyle is fine with you stealing those. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
I have another one on insulin self-titration.
Yeah. What's the title? Just insulin?
You just type on insulin self-adjust.
Insulin self-adjust. Nice. 3 units every 3 days to a goal of 120 or less. Perfect. Yeah, I have a very similar one. That's really nice. Awesome. I have one. I like to create precautionary ones, so I have like a CH space dehydration precautions for every sick URI kid you see, and then also respiratory precautions. So I'll load both of those. I should probably just put them into one sometimes. Talk about dehydration and respiratory precautions for sick kiddos. You know, I have a chest pain precautions one, so I think their chest pain is non-cardiac, but I want to give them some precautions. And then here's your precautions right here. Reviewed red flag symptoms. Yeah. Headache, red flags, headache precautions. I have one of those. Vomiting, speech changes, headache doesn't get better, kind of stuff. So a nice way to write some plans a little faster. So hopefully people are using those. Rusty, have you built a bunch? I know you were actively building a bunch of stuff, but yeah, there you go. Rusty's been at work here. You can see some of his work.
Yeah, I have RSB and RB. I think I've been moving more to RB, but whatever.
RB. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Sittler's here with me too.
Go ahead.
No, Susie Sittler's here with me too.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Do you have some, Susie, as well, or are you just saying hi?
No, I don't. I'm going to steal. I'm of the more steel variety.
Yeah, we decided we were going to use all Kyle Bailey's, so.
Still away, yeah. Nice. I'm gonna start tapping into what you got, Rusty. You got some nice.
Thank you, Chris. I use a lot of yours all the time too.
Yeah.
So thanks.
That's basically what I wanted to show everybody today. Also, if briefly on eClinisense, hopefully people are using that. A lot of your treatment notes do pop over here as well. So what your treatment plans that you write over time, you can load those here. You have to make sure you're on group, and then you hit generate. And for some reason, I hadn't done that for this particular diagnosis yet. And then it should pull over all the treatment plans you've ever made around elevated blood pressure. Apparently, I don't use that ICD-10 very often, not showing up. But if you have a diagnosis you're using commonly, then you can hit eClinisense, and you have all your treatment notes right there. And you can subtract those out. You can highlight one and delete it if it's really patient-specific. You don't want it to be part of your personalized order set going forward. So that's a nice feature, I think, in eClinisense. Yeah, the other area where there are macro statements available, and this is kind of a topic for debate, is within the OB record. We used to have browse statements on each individual note. Trying to think if I can get to a pregnant patient that's a test patient. 10.3.16 on Sittler. I'm not sure if Carl, if you remember when we used the classic version of the OB record, there are browse statements under each note that you write, so people can use those. I thought that was a nice feature that goes away when you go to the modern version of the OB record, and maybe it's a topic for a different day once we finally have, I think, a test environment that's coming to where we can start working on rebuilding the OB note. So I'm excited about that. But I thought that was a nice feature with the OBs. But you lose a lot of the modern view features when you do that. So anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there and just make sure people know how to customize different macro areas. Do you guys have any other topics you want to discuss anyway? About 10 minutes if anybody wants to ask a question or bring up anything that we could talk about additionally.
I'm curious. There's a ticket out still on having meds in the medical history part that get locked and you can't change them and you can't enter them. And I don't know if anybody's figured out any workarounds or figured out what's going on their end.
There's a ticket out on that. As far as I know, I haven't tracked it too closely, but yeah, I don't have any great answers for you yet. Anyway, you know, within a treatment screen, after you send a prescription, if you need to resend it, and the prescription gets locked or you want to modify it, the recommendation from eCW, and this is a prescription security safety thing, is you then would just stop the medication and start a new one with the adjusted dose on it or the new pharmacy. So you'd have to stop and then start. So a few extra steps, but they're trying to avoid a situation where you would actually send a prescription, modify it, and then resend it. And now what's actually in the record is different from what the patient actually potentially got and gets dispensed. Unless you call and clarify with the pharmacy, there can just be some miscommunication there. So once a prescription gets sent, it gets kind of locked in eCW. So the only way to fix that is to stop that medicine and then start it again with the modification or the new pharmacy that way. So I know that's come up a few times.
Oh, Chris, let me see if I understand this correct. Once these are locked, I didn't think you could alter them. So how can you stop a medicine that's been locked?
So yeah, so if you have a medication here, and once you've prescribed it, or you print it, for example, then it becomes locked. So I'm going to go ahead and print this test patient prescription. And once you do that, the prescription becomes locked. But let's say after you're discussing further with the patient, if I come back into my treatment screen, you'll notice this prescription is locked. See that now? After discussing with the patient, you said you want them on 20 milligrams. You have to go right here and then change this to stop. And then add a new prescription, again, of lisinopril 20. So you can't modify the actual prescription. Change that to 20. And see, now I'm going to send a new prescription for 20. And hopefully disregard the prescription of 10, if that makes sense. And that's the only way to modify something you already sent or send to a new pharmacy or what have you. Yeah. So see, now it's set in at the 20. Print that one. And now both those are locked, but they're stopped and they're started again at the right dose, or I send it to a different pharmacy. So hopefully that helps if some people are struggling with that. I know it's been a frustrating workflow once you want to modify a prescription after the fact. That's always the only way around it. Does anybody have any suggestions for future topics? You know, we made this topic list some time ago, and if there's something that's a little more burning, you know, maybe today's topic was a little rudimentary. Probably a lot of you already knew how to use those file statements, so but apparently some might not have, and hopefully this video will help for people going forward. But any future topic ideas?
Yeah, Chris, I think working with favorite prescriptions is something I'm struggling with how to do that. When I'm actually writing an actual prescription at that moment, I don't know how to make it a favorite.
Oh, okay. You guys want to go ahead and cover that right now? Absolutely. That'll take pretty fast. So if I'm going to create a prescription and I click Add, you'll notice I've got these these radio buttons here, standard or my favorites. You can have it default to either one. Mine's defaulting to standard right now. So if I go ahead and type a prescription, if I could spell, so 5 milligrams, I've already, you can make it a favorite from here. So if I click on add as favorite, then it gives me this screen, and you can modify the way you like to prescribe it. So if you always like to prescribe in 90-day intervals with 3 refills, however you'd like to modify it from there. That's a year's supply. So dispense 90 with 3 refills. And what's cool, I'll get to your comment one second here, Carl. What's cool from here is you can actually add favorite to all providers.
Oh, great. Did you do that with Ginger? Remember we were talking about Ginger the other day?
Oh yeah. Do you guys want to let's make a custom prescription? Yeah. The problem with the custom prescription, I don't think Ginger is going to be in the. So now amlodipine 5 with 90 with 3 refills is now a favorite for all providers. So as you click on my favorites, and I go to type amlodipine, it'll pull up with the 5 milligram at a 90 with 3 refills. I've made it a different prescription with 30-day supply 11. So you can see you have all kinds of variations of the prescriptions, which is kind of cool. You can, kind of depending on your mood for the day, I guess, how you like to prescribe it, but you can have different variations. Question on the, there's a question about if we create a custom prescription or a different prescription, how can we make those available to everybody else?
Yeah, like Ginger, I think that one would be a good one, as you and I talked about the other day. Can we add that for people? So then we can put it on our, I can put it on a breastfeeding order set.
Yeah, let me go ahead and see if that's, and I'll show you how to create a custom prescription, and then we can see if we can add it into an order set somewhere right now. We have a request from Carl to have a future topic on making sure that all the diabetes items, where they get documented. I think that'd be a great university topic, so we'll schedule that for a different day to actually go through place by place of all the diabetes things to see where they get documented. So what we wanted to do is create a custom prescription for Ginger. Dr. Moreland has learned and is sharing with the group that Ginger is a great anti-nausea medicine early in pregnancy that may produce milk production in the postpartum phase as well. Am I saying that accurately?
Yeah.
So within custom, I don't think there's a Ginger that's a Metaspan medication, and again, only Metaspan medications are e-prescribable.
Right.
So if it's not in Metaspan, I can't e-scribe it, but we can create a custom and you can fax it.
Right.
So if I go to custom, once I change the custom, you'll notice this new button becomes now black or not grayed out. As I click new here, I can create a new medication.
Oh.
So Ginger, what was the strength you said, 500 milligrams?
Yeah, 500 milligrams.
Tablet.
Capsule.
Capsules.
One PLBID.
One capsule. Orally. BID. 30 days. Dispense 60, or do you want to do dispense 1 bottle? Probably because you're getting it at a health food store. Refills, yeah, sure. This is something you just print and hand to a patient probably to take to the health food store.
Right.
So then you click OK, and now you have a new prescription that's a custom prescription. And again, you can't make it a favorite, but if I now come in here, I'm under custom and type Ginger, there it is.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can fire it up, print it, and send it out, or hand it to the patient and say, go take this to the health food store and get that filled at a health food store or wherever else you're getting it. But that's how you can create a custom prescription. Now, we can throw that onto an order set. You have a breastfeeding order set, I believe.
Yeah.
What's it called?
I think it's called breastfeeding.
So again, EMR, order set administration.
Might be like
that. you just tile, is the start as breastfeeding, or is it JM breastfeeding, or?
I think it might be lactation.
There it
Oh,
is,
there it
breast,
is. Right there.
this is it. Got your domperidone there, and your, if I click browse, I can go ahead and add this right now. I'm going to change this to custom. Ginger. There it is. Now it's on your order set going forward.
Okay. You might
Do
want
I
to
have
remove
a,
domperidone
do I
because
have- go ahead.
you might want to remove domperidone because it's no longer available.
Not a good idea.
No,
Okay.
I can do that. I can do
On do I have a motion to add that to the prenatal order set?
Yeah. That'd be great.
And apparently B6 is first line with Ginger, maybe before on Danzatron I was seeing the other day. I don't know how people feel about that. So there's your B6. Let's go ahead and add our Ginger now to our prenatal order set. There it is. So now we've got Ginger on our prenatal order set. We could adjust. Carl says those are ACOG recommendations, the B6 and the Ginger. Ginger as well, Carl, or is that just the B6
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
line? Cool. So I will be moving my practice more to doing the the Ginger and the B6. No doxylamine. Nice. Yeah, I've never really used doxylamine, but
So it's actually the vitamin B6 and doxylamine.
okay, there you go.
That's the ACOG recommendation for first line for nausea in pregnancy.
Oh, right on. This is good. So we have the B6 natural right there, 100 milligrams. I wonder if we could modify that to on the order set right here. Should I just put it in as doxylamine?
I guess you already have it there. Oh,
Oh, there it is right there.
It says for sleep.
So at 25 milligrams, one tablet at bedtime once a day, 30 days, 30 with 30, dispense 30 with,
I think that's written probably for a sleep agent, but we could probably rewrite it. Maybe not. I probably need to look up exactly what the recommendations are, but I don't think it's. You have to take it at bedtime. I don't know if Frank's still around, but he could maybe comment on it if he knows.
yeah. Well, I just deleted it. We could probably look it up and I'll throw it in right now. But yeah. Nice. Well, I'll add that right now, and that would be a nice addition to the prenatal order set. So we got the Ginger. Frank says he doesn't know. So we have the Ginger. I'll just go ahead and add that in. The succinate, let's see. Yeah, it's only, well, as far as my med database says it's just for insomnia, but 25 milligrams once daily before bedtime. I have to pull up the exact ACOG recommendation. Probably somewhere in here. Anyway, I can work on getting that added. In fact, I'll do that before we jump off the call here. Does anybody else have anything? It's 8:03. We've updated a few order sets. We've reviewed macro and browse statements throughout the record, and favorite prescription making. Did that help with the favorite prescription making? Did you see how that worked?
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate your help today.
All right, take care. Okay, we'll go ahead and close out. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.